St. Paul, The Fan.
Yeah, this album is dedicated to all the teachers that told me I never amount to nothing. To all the people that lived above the buildings that I was hustling from that called the police on me when I was just trying to make some money to feed my daughter.
Yeah.
And to all my peoples in the struggle, you know what I'm saying? It's all good, baby.
Check it.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine. Hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack, Mr. Magic Marley Marl. I let my tape rock till my tape pop. Way back when I had the red and black lumberjack with the hat to match. Remember rapping Duke? The hard, you never thought that hip-hop would take it this far. Now I'm in the limelight cause I rhyme tight. Time to get paid, blow up like the world trade. Born sinner, the opposite of a winner. Remember when I used to eat sardines for dinner? Peace to Ron G, Brucey B, Kid Capri, Funk Master Flex, Love Bug, Star Ski. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. Call a crib, same number, same hood. It's all good.
It is all good in the neighborhood known as FM 100.3 KFAN. Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via Twitter. Twin Cities Live today, 3 to 4:30 on Channel 5. You can see old Nacho Leber on Channel 5 today at 3 o'clock up until 4:30 with TCL. Twin Cities Live. And we head into a Saints game off a Falcons game, which could affectionately be known as the Dobbs game. It's like, that O'Connell, I think, has coached 27 games here or something like that. What did we get? 18 last year, and we got 9 this year. Yeah. So you had like the comeback, the Indy game, the Buffalo game. I mean, those were football and Vikings immortality type games. Games, regular season games that people never will forget. Same with the Dobbs game. So we'll call it the Dobbs game. And, really for Ben, the sideline analyst for the Vikings radio network, seriously, how great was it for you rolling up and down the sideline during just such an amazing game, just tracking the action between the 20s, just where everything was happening. And it just seemed like it was amazing to be down there.
Now, I know that I picked up on the fact that you did forget about my lot in life on Sunday.
What do you mean?
Because I couldn't go between the 20s.
But most of the good stuff happened
away from me.
Yeah, to the far left of the bench where I thought you were standing where you were, the cheerleaders, and I
was standing directly down below where you guys' booth was, and I couldn't move more than 3 feet.
Well, the most of the good stuff happened to the far left of the bench. That's the side that Dobbs worked on the cadence and Powell scored the game winner. And generally speaking, I've seen it on Twitter and carried it and followed it on the Vikings radio network. You're generally right next to all of the atopic action.
Generally.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, generally.
Okay, what's the point in tethering a microphone to a wall so that an adversarial analyst cannot roam the sideline?
So let me give you the best interpretation or explanation that I got from Jared Wells, our super special, very talented superstar engineer. Basically, the Atlanta airwaves, it's not just the stadium, the Atlanta air traffic control, where it is a major metropolitan hub that has a lot of frequencies like just flying in the air.
Jeez.
Well, apparently we can't use, there's not like a free open radio frequency for us to attach ourselves to on game day. So we had to like hardwire into the stadium. I got to say though, it was the best sounding game that I've had. I mean, the sound was awesome.
Yeah, but there were times when the action was all the way on the other side of the field.
Dude, I couldn't.
Bursich and I and Gabe would look down at you, and there was nobody by you, and you just look so lonely at times.
I know, and I'm like trying to look past some of the personnel on the sidelines. The team docs are staying there. We got the NFL Films Parab mic guy with this giant microphone. He's standing there in front of me. I'm trying to look over his shoulder, like, what's going? Hey, I'm like the little kid, like jumping up and down, trying to see over everybody.
So with this frequency thing, am I to believe that you potentially would file an injury report on Cam Akers and a United Airlines flight would have to be diverted to Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
I mean, it's something like that?
Yeah, I wish it was something like that because that'd be really cool.
All right, the I mean, the Falcons on-field analyst reporter wasn't tethered to a wall. I saw him practically in the huddle. I mean, he's over there basically talking to Taylor Heineke like between series and stuff. So I don't know, maybe it's a different frequency or something.
Yeah, they get the hometown frequency. I think they're okay.
Just another reason it was great we beat the Falcons. Stop keeping Nacho down. But Dobbs has never been. And I'm probably a little too wound up on this, and you and I have known each other a long time and worked together a fair amount of years. You know that there will be tangents, or there would be vibes, or there will be angles that I will get on, and I marry myself to them. And it's not that I have to trick myself into thinking this. I legitimately believe that Josh Dobbs, this is fact, has never been with an outfit like this with Jefferson on the horizon. And I'm saying that it's not going to happen, but he has a legitimate chance to become a long-term starter. It started at Mercedes-Benz. Mm-hmm. He's going to get JJ back. I wouldn't bet on this weekend, but he's going to get him back relatively soon with an offensive-minded head coach who works incredibly well with people, does not have the panic gene, clearly has shown he can handle the chaos of all chaos during a game and find a way to win it with a newbie. I'm telling you that from Tennessee to Pittsburgh to Jacksonville through Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, waiting for him, Arizona, Dobbs has never been in a situation like this. And why not just go out there and win a long-term starter job here or somewhere else? Do you think it's too much of a stretch?
I don't think it's too much of a stretch. Now, it depends on can he become not just a starter, but can he become a high-end starter and somehow play at the level, at least give us the winning percentage that Kirk Cousins could give us? Right. I don't think so. I would not put money on that. But
you'd get fat odds. You would be betting the underdog side because he's seventh year from Tennessee. But, I mean, what we saw, I'm just not going to take the majority of it and, call it happenstance. Getting away from Bud Dupree, getting away from safeties wrapped up around his legs. Okay, he missed Hawkinson, middle of the end zone for a touchdown on the one for which he ran that touchdown. So, I don't know, man. There were just things that were different and fascinating, but you also have to be super athletically gifted to do what he did. And then now you get Addison and you get TJ and you get O'Connell and you eventually get JJ with Darrison O'Neal. I mean, this could be a long-term thing here if it works out the right way for Josh Dobbs.
Well, here's my best example, and maybe the thing that I can hope for the most is Geno Smith. Mm-hmm. You look at Geno Smith, okay, and he was. I think everybody kind of threw in the towel and said, he's not a starter. It's he's going to go to Seattle and he's going to do his thing and he's going to be, just below 500 quarterback. Yeah. And they're going to just position themselves maybe for draft pick, or they wait and see what the next free agency looks like the next year or the next year. He's been a very pleasant surprise. Right. They gave him a nice little extension to be the quarterback, and they want to give him some more time to develop.
For a coach that is well known, whether you like him or not, for the USC thing or whatever, who works well with man and is an incredible person with these young adults. Right.
Empowers a lot of individuals on those teams, right?
And that's KOC.
And to look at Dobbs' resume, in Pittsburgh, defensive head coach. Jacksonville, I believe in 2019, they had a defensive head coach as well. Maybe
like Marone.
He goes back to the Steelers, same situation. The Browns is the only time that he's had an offensive-minded head coach, and that's Kevin Stefanski. And everybody knew what the situation was there. You are just a placeholder until we get this whole quarterback thing figured out. Yep. Same thing with the Lions, Titans, and then the Cardinals. I mean, he had another stop with the Browns. Every one of those coaches are defensive-minded head coaches. Right. So, to your point, are there ways for him to take strides and steps that he hasn't had a chance to take in his short career thus far? Absolutely. I mean, to be with a true offensive-minded head coach that is going to literally hold his hand during a game like he did last week, potentially doing that for probably the rest of the season. Obviously, I think the leash gets a little bit longer as the season goes on, and as he picks up the offense and he becomes more of a player. He plays faster rather than thinking all the time. But you got to think for up until this bye week coming up here, and then a few short weeks, it's going to be KOC, hand on the radio communication device button, finger on the button, talking through every single play, up to 15 seconds.
Wow.
Let Dobbs go do his thing.
So that's still the bit this week, despite a full week?
I would absolutely think so.
Okay, because I was just kind of thinking that maybe, now you can kind of like do what Gary Kubiak did when he was first here with Cousins. You got to play, but 5 things off of it. So you have packages with personnel, obviously not knowing what the defense is going to throw at you, and it would just go a little more fluidly.
I think that my personal belief is that could take place after the bye week.
Yeah.
Where again, you let him have a little bit more flexibility. And then it's the evolution of the thought process after that. It's not just saying like, hey, this guy's got a post and this guy's got a corner and on the backside, you've got a stop route and whatever. Then I think there's the evolution of like, okay, here's when we check to, or if you check to this second play, this is what's going to happen. This is maybe what we can get into. Hey, watch out for this guy in this defense. Hey, the tendency is, press 2-man, whatever it is. I think after the bye week, it'll be more of that evolution. But right now, it's literally the ABCs of this offense.
Yep.
And that's fine. If you want to let him kind of find some magic in a bottle every game, you're going to have some patience with maybe some misreads, some lack of anticipation, because that's going to be the biggest thing for him. He is not, and that's what showed on Sunday. He's not throwing these guys open.
No.
He's throwing the ball when they're open, and that's not going to cut it in the league for very long.
He threw that sideline to Addison.
Yeah.
That was Cousins-esque. I mean, I see what you're saying. He didn't throw him open, but that was a hard throw. And
it's a hard throw, but that's also a pretty, I hate to say, in football terms, it's a pretty easy read.
Got it.
In that sort of that cover 2 situation, that's always, if you see that cornerback is not getting enough depth, and if you see that corner even stop his feet for a second to honor the route that's coming towards him on the sideline, that safety from that cover 2 spot can't make it to that hole. So that is a hole shot that every college quarterback should be able to make. Yeah. Was it a tough throw in that situation, given the circumstances of him not knowing the offense and all that stuff? Yes. And did Addison have to make a really tough catch? Absolutely. But that concept, the concept is not, it's not like out of this world astronomical.
Okay, so in a game like this, because Marshawn Lattimore, we've known since the Minneapolis Miracle and throughout his career, his battles with Mike Evans and stuff. I mean, Marshawn Lattimore is a very good corner. He's a tough corner. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I think sometimes there's more bark than bite.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I've heard you said that too in the past before, but nevertheless, I wouldn't mind having him on my team. That the other guy, Paulson Adebo, I had no idea how well respected this guy is, certainly within the Vikings covenant. I mean, Kevin O'Connell had a bunch of really good things to say about him on and a little bit after X's and O's. And then they got Amadi, this backup safety that they'll use. And so they rotate their secondary a lot, but not their front 7 a lot. Here's the point. Is with Dobbs in his first full game with this team and with a full week to get ready. Is it just too Rube-like and simplistic and like Madden playing like to be like, what happens when you put 2 receivers left and right, all right, and say you're between the hash marks, and you spread them out wide, and then you have C.J. Ham, say, in the backfield as personal protector guy. Mm-hmm. Can you, and then you send your guys, because Addison's fast, say Naylor's up, he's fast, Hawkinson's fast for a tight end, and who am I missing here? Say Brandon Powell. So you send them down the field where that has to be honored and recognized by 4 or 5 guys. Mm-hmm. And does that open things for a 6'3" guy, A, to see over trees, or B, to be a true run pass option type guy?
1,000% it does. But for him, then you have to be okay with him just doing a half field read, because at this point in the evolution of the offense, I don't think that he's going, from his offensive far right hand side, because he's a right-handed quarterback. I don't think that he's skilled enough right now mentally and playing fast enough mentally that he can go first outside receiver, second inside receiver, that's not there, then go scan and get your body, go all the way to the left and look at the guys on 3 and 4 on the other side. Plus, you've got the check down if the running back can check through.
But Nacho, see, what I'm saying is there's never going to be a pass. It's they run routes to pull players who probably will be in zone because the man coverage bit, I mean, as you've said and Bursic has said and O'Connell said the other day, they turn their backs. So therefore, you don't want to do that against quarterbacks like Dobbs.
Yeah.
So I'm saying scheme it up so you pull multiple players quickly down the field. But you're
just for like almost like a design quarterback run game.
Yeah, and you CJ Ham as the up. I don't know how to explain it. You know, I mean.
Okay. So I was misunderstanding what you're trying to say. Yes, I do think that could be very much part of it, and I would look for that on 3rd and 6 and plus because New Orleans will run a fair amount of man coverage in those situations where it's a little bit 3rd and long. They're not a heavy blitzing team, so they really want to disrupt the timing of everything, especially on 3rd down, and let their guys, whether it's a little 5-man pressure or just a 4-man rush, they really want those guys to do all the work and confuse the quarterback, make the quarterback have to pat the ball, and then hopefully get a sack. So in those situations on 3rd and long, spread out this defense as much as you can,
right?
And if
that's when they would think it was coming, right?
Yeah, but still though, that's why you wouldn't say it's design quarterback run. You would just give him the option of running and say like, hey man, in these 3rd and longs, if you see man coverage, don't try to fit anything. Don't make a tight throw. Right. Just tuck it and run. If they happen to drop out in a zone coverage, okay, well then, go through your normal progressions and hopefully you can find a guy open and hopefully the spacing of the offense and the spacing of the formation allows you to find some openings and makes it an easy read for you. But yeah, I'm with you. Use his athleticism and some of this like pseudo design quarterback run game to your advantage, especially on 3rd down.
Well, they don't have Jalen Hurts, but they now have somebody who is in the same fishbowl, just under a different rock. Where Cousins was not in Jalen Hurts' fishbowl. No. Jalen's not in his either. Mahomes is he can go either way. But like with Dobbs, you have somebody in that fishbowl. Granted, not as high in talent-wise, or at least equity-wise. So I just, it's like the Philadelphia running game, man, starts and stops with Jalen Hurts. I mean, sure, they had Miles Sanders and Gainwell and Boston Scott, and now they have Penny and DeAndre Swift. And, yeah, Swift's the running back getting the yards, but planners, from what I understand, coordinators and stuff, they start with Hurts. It's like, okay, when he does this, if he gets out here, this could be 60.
That's what killed us. Right? Talking to our defense.
Oh, big time.
Talking to our defense after that game was over on that Thursday night game, it was like, man, how are we getting gashed so much in the run game? Well, we find out later on that they were really, the defensive ends were playing the quarterback keeper.
Right.
They did not want Jalen to get loose. And so Philadelphia adjusted to what our ends were doing, and then they would just hand the ball off, and there was this gigantic void in the middle of on that side of the defensive line because our ends were being taught to go up and basically take away and play for the Jalen Hurts run. So absolutely.
You can get into some Philadelphia film. I'm not kidding you, because especially when JJ comes back, because with Jefferson, you can have some A.J. Brown stuff. With Addison, you can absolutely have some Devontae Smith stuff. TJ is better than Dallas Goedert, in my opinion. So therefore, you see what I'm saying here? You can get into some of these Philadelphia plays. Now, the offensive line here is, maybe left to right, not on par with what they do in Philly, and specifically knowing how to run something like this. I'm just saying that I think with a creative head coach and an offensive head coach, the opportunities are limitless moving forward, specifically when you get that bye. More with Ben Leber. Don't forget Twin Cities Live today, 3 to 4:30 on Channel 5. Around the corner, we have the pit and piece, but first, the cash thing.
The Fan, along with 2 men in a junk truck, they want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. So go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword credit. You might win $1,000 if you go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword credit.
Time now. Fan, presented by the Minnesota Lottery. Play the new Vikings scratch game for a chance to win up to $100,000. Vikings assistant coach Mike Pettin joins PA after this.
The Lottery. I'm in.
Now, yesterday, Coach Pettin, you mentioned the offensive staff. Josh Dobbs never has had a, quote, offensive-minded head coach who calls plays. Plus, Wes and Chris, they have rings. So maybe the sky could be the limit for Josh Dobbs, right? And then what do you like about him?
Well, there's a lot to like. First, it's his mentality, his mental toughness. A lot of players would have had no chance to do what he was able to do in such a short period of time. And his intelligence is well documented. There's not that many people you could say that he's literally a rocket scientist. And people don't realize he learned well over 150 plays for the game last Sunday. It was virtually the entire call sheet. Grant Udinsky is our assistant quarterbacks coach. I know spent a ton of time with him, and at the same time they were getting a rookie, Jaron Hall ready for his start as well. So the way he was able to do that is tremendous. And when you add in his ability, to put stress on a defense, today's game, it's almost a requirement, is the quarterback that can extend the play. And we saw that on Sunday. His mobility essentially won us the game.
And the Fan.
So much drama in the LBC, it's kinda hard being Snoop D-O-double G. But I somehow, someway, keep coming up with funky ass hits like every single day.
Quarterbacks who run keep fans on the edges of their seats. And we know that by watching games, but like by working games and being part of games with the purple and gold and stuff. It's, edge of seat would take place so many times last year in those tightly contested games, and deep shot right side, JJ Buffalo. Wow. It's a 33% ball for him. 66 for them. They got 2. We had him. That's edge of the seat type stuff. But when you have a quarterback who can run, every single play has edge of your seat to it. And I just think that's super cool.
Well, and I'm with you because there's such an air of unpredictability about what you can do. And the other part is what it does for the true play action stuff, right? It's one thing when you have a guy like Kirk Cousins, who's a phenomenal passer, but nobody's really thinking about him as far as play action. Nobody's thinking, or as far as like running the ball. But when you do these wide stretches and you can do these quarterback boots, or you can do some of the RPO stuff that Hurts does, whatever you want to call it, whatever fancy term, if you can then ride that handoff off, looking at the defense, pull it, and then still throw the ball off of that with some action and run the ball. And again, we're not saying that this. He's got to be, a guy that's got to go 60 yards down the field on these big runs. It could just be 5, 6, 7 yards, 10 yards. I mean,
yeah,
that is so demoralizing to a defense time and time again. So if he ends up on the day running for 50 yards, that's good. That's great. It keeps the defense honest. It gives them so many things to think about. As long as he can be complimentary with his accuracy, getting the ball down the field, and still using JJ in the way that you can use JJ and having those deep shot weapons.
And respectful of the play and the play call. Because like the touchdown, the touchdown for which he ran, I mean, the play is supposed to go to Hawkinson. So therefore, if you scheme that and you spend time on that and you implement that and put that in, and oh, by the way, it's right, and you got the perfect matchup and he killed the guy, coaches want that closed on, as opposed to, because the pocket was decent. I mean, he could have found him, but he gave a cursory look and he's all new. So we draw a line through that race from a standpoint of like this type of analysis, at least from my standpoint, and he ran. But then when they come back and look at it, I mean, how's that handled? It's kind of like, excellent job, unbelievable, edge of seat. You got to hit him. You got to hit him when you got a pocket like this. So therefore, quarterback has to stay responsible within what the coach and the play caller wants.
Right.
Because Kevin likes drawing these passing plays, man, and they're good.
Well, and that's why I sort of qualified my statement with it can't be all the time, and it can be only for maybe 50 yards a game. I mean, that might even be too much. I mean, if you're thinking consistently per game, it might only be 40 yards per game.
Unless they keep shaking Bud Dupree.
But because you raise a good point, though, it gets you see these receivers on these good teams that or these good receivers on teams that have bad quarterbacks, and it's within a couple weeks of the season starting before they show their frustration. They get pissy on the sidelines. They're throwing helmets. They're upset. They don't trust the quarterback can see them and get the ball to them. And think about it. It is frustrating for these receivers. These guys run. I mean, they run what, a couple miles a game as far as like total distance, and they're supposed to be doing it at full speed. Mm-hmm. It is tiring out there running these routes, playing physical football with some of these cornerbacks, and then to not be thrown the football and not have any targets. You can lose your receiving core if you don't see them, you're not running the offense, and you tuck the ball and run too often.
Yeah. Do you love when Flores lines up 7 on the line and an offense has it 4 wide? I mean, the whole thing, like to watch back Heineke, now they hit on the play.
Yeah.
And actually in watching this thing back more critically than I have any game this season, because it was so weird and different, like Madison, after Dobbs started running, you see the inside linebackers for Atlanta. Well, now all of a sudden, if they were, I don't know, A-gap-ish, well, now they're like 5-7 feet, a little wider.
Yeah.
So they can get to the edge quicker. Well, then Madison's 1s and 2s started to become 4, 5, and 6. So, hey, that was a very, very truncated situation and just a snapshot. So we'll see what it looks like against a more organized defense, at least in my opinion. But Heineke, when he walked to the line one time, the Falcons had 3 guys right, 1 guy left, and they were in a triangle formation to the right.
Yeah.
Flores has 7 lined up at the line, Metellus mugging the A-gap. And Heineke looked, and then he backed off, and then he did the pointing thing. And how do you identify the middle linebacker in a situation like that? But Atlanta did a really good job. Heineke was just awful in that game. From Matthews over to the right tackle, McGarry, they mostly did a really good job picking up that blitz in the game. Heineke had some badass pockets and was short hopping people and stuff like that. But when you see 7 strewn across the line and you have 4 receivers and you're passing, I mean, is that copyright sauce and S your P moment?
I would think, especially for a young quarterback, yeah. And to your point about Heineke not having a great game, it could have been worse had we, got the footballs that hit us in the hands twice. Right. If we had picked those off, he's had a really bad day.
Yep.
I would say that the threat of us at the line of scrimmage freaked him out, because if I can recall, we didn't blitz a ton, especially in the first half. Right. It was all this illusion that we're blitzing.
It was second half.
And he was just he didn't he had no idea. I don't know which guy's going to blitz. I don't know which side's going to blitz.
And then they thought they were chill, so they put him under center. He goes on this slow play action bit, goes to boot out to the right. Flores had it lined up so that Metellus ran right at the spot. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was actually on the side of the field where you were tethered. And then Metellus went to stutter stepping, and Heineke just threw it up to the right. Byron Murphy would have been an outside chance for an interception, but he just threw it up to anybody. That's what happens when you don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, you have no idea where it's coming from. That's so to get back to your original question, I find it from a defensive standpoint very exciting because we don't really, as us Joe public, we don't know either. We know we have now known as we're halfway through the season that Flores is going to dial up some stuff at some weird moments. It might not feel like a blitzing situation, but he might be blitzing.
Yeah.
And it might be an obvious blitz situation. He's going to drop 8. So when he's got 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, you're I don't know what's going to happen.
And if they all come, you got 6 to block 7.
Yeah, we're going to have a free rusher.
He can line up all 7 and 95% of the time not bring them all.
Yeah.
Or 82% of the time bring 6 of the 7 and drop Metellus to center field. But it's the 1, 2, 3 times he does, because the percentages show you're not going to bring all 7. I mean, it might just smack somebody, you know?
I know. Well, and that's why, going into the season, we're going to walk away from the totality of the season. We're going to look back at, there might be 8, 10 sacks, maybe multiple more quarterback hits that are just free rushers.
Right.
That they're just, as a player, you applaud the coordinator and say, thank you, man. I just got a free sack or 2 on the season because of your scheme and for what we're doing. The thing is, you've got to play team football, though. That's the other part of it. You can't get greedy in a defense like this because if you are, let's say if I can explain, if you're an outside edge rusher, let's say you're Danielle Hunter, you're an outside edge rusher, everybody can picture him in a 2-point stance, ready to come off the edge. Now, if his job is to dip underneath that tackle that's going to fan out to him and take away that inside shoulder so somebody can loop around from the inside and get a free sack, if you don't do that, then they have enough guys to block everybody because then we basically block ourselves with 2 guys. So you have to be very detailed on what you're supposed to do. And that's the way you get free rushers, and that's the way the defense works.
Have a good time on TV today, 3 to 4:30, Channel 5, TCL, we, Twin Cities Live, and I'll see you Sunday at the stadium, okay?
Yeah, real quickly, my Mystic Lake show is happening again this Monday. Guest yet to be determined. We're still trying to figure it out. I think everybody's still on this, they're riding this high from the game, and so we have yet to lock in somebody. But we will have somebody great, I assure you that. So this will be Monday night, Drinks Bar, 7 to 8 p.m.
Mystic Lake Casino Hotel.
Yep.
Got it. That's Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via Twitter when we return. Sky Yuma, Bob Motzko.
On the Fan.
Gophers trying to clear it out. They do. Mason Nevers getting it free. It's up to Bradzinski. He shoots and scores into an empty net. 5-1. Here's Jackson Nelson coming in with a rising shot off target. Thomas from the left sends it to the right. They score! Renzel fires, but I think Nelson deflected it, and the Gophers go ahead 3-2.
You can put it on the board! Yes! Hey, Coach Motzko, what's going on?
Yeah, how are you?
Pretty well, Bob Motzko. Things been well with you?
We're holding the fort down. We're battling.
Right. And off your texting to me over the weekend, it's clear you loved not only Josh Dobbs out of nowhere in that performance, but also Coach Kevin O'Connell's leadership. I mean, you were just all over the praise into my phone.
Oh yeah, you could tell that we got a coach in the player. Like I loved the post game, when they showed him in the locker room and the enthusiasm on the players. And that's pro players, and they were into it. And we'll see where it goes, but it's been fun to watch. Their defense is coming around. Obviously excitement with it's terrible that Cousins went down because I think he's a stud. But they're pros; they'll figure it out. Fun to watch.
Yeah, makes it exciting. Makes it a little more exciting because there's unpredictability. And as a coach, I would imagine coaches don't like unpredictability. Coaches want to put together the plan, and they want the plan executed, and they realize that there will be addendums and amendments and audibles and stuff like that during the course of the plan. But coaches, generally speaking, Bob, right, don't like unpredictability.
Well, you don't, but you know what? It's part of the world, and you have to be ready for it every year. We have a year like we had last year, and we didn't have a lot of that. And now we're bumping our nose into it a little bit right now. But I can tell you, we like our guys. We like the direction. We just got to fight through a little bit of adversity right now.
Bob Motzko, coach of the Golden Gophers hockey team. Listen to the games on AM 1130, KTLK, including Friday and Saturday from Ann Arbor. And before I get into that, and I got what I think is some decent stuff here for you, Robert Morris. Robert Morris is on the schedule. Good for Robert Morris resurrecting that hockey program for the men and the women. But old Robert Morris on the schedule coming up in like a month and change. How'd that happen?
Well, the coach there, Derek Schooley, has been there a long time, and they dropped their program a couple of years ago. They went some reshuffling in, the upper management of their whole university, and they brought it back. And Derek does a heck of a job, and he had to find he had to find new players, But we're seeing what our friend Reboyne's doing down in Augustana. He's got that thing humming, and the first year they've ever had a team. So we got Robert Morris on the schedule and helping them get started as they restart their 2-year hiatus they had.
Yeah.
As they restart the program this year.
Yeah, good for them. And so this is like, I read up on it for a couple of seconds, but I mean, they're like fundraising during the course of the year. So, I mean, they're like trying to find sustainability on the fly, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they're in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's become a heck of a hockey city. Home of Logan Cooley, and we need college hockey in markets like that, and it's great for our sport. It's great in those cities for those universities to support it, and we've got to do what we can to help them along.
So Bob, off to Ann Arbor today, as you mentioned, and for a couple with the Wolverines on AM 1130 KTLK. It seems from afar the Big Ten may be as deep as I can remember or as it's ever been.
Well, it's looking that way right now. There's no question. Wisconsin's got Mike Hastings over there, and they've got a resurrection going. Michigan State. Second year with a new coach there, they've got a resurrection in their program. And these are two high-powered programs that are expected to be there, and they're getting back. So that just adds 2 more teams and we're only a 7-team league. It's 7 outstanding hockey programs that are gonna battle it. And I've said, we ran away, won the league by 19 points last year. That's going to be hard to do for anybody when you've got 7 teams that are awful strong, and we're going to beat the snot out of each other. And we get our lick with Michigan tonight, or tomorrow night, and we jump right back into league play here.
So through losing all those high-end players to the NHL and getting dinged with injuries early, a month into the season, the record at 500-ish, actually, I mean, it's kind of okay, right?
Yeah, it is. I always got to be cautious how I answer, but look at the 5 guys. All are playing in the National Hockey League. Ryan Johnson got called up, played 19 minutes the other night, and they're not just playing. They're like impact players in the National Hockey League. I think that's an unbelievable story with Cooley and Nyes and Lacomb's playing over 20 minutes in Anaheim. Of course, we all know what Faber's doing. And you just don't snap your face. We're not rebuilding at Minnesota. Don't ever get me wrong on that. But a lot of those minutes that we had a year ago were by NHL players. But remember 2 years prior to that, 3 years prior to that, we were grooming Faber and Lacombe and, when they were young players. And that's what we're doing right now with Chesley and Thomas and Middlestat, and Kester's coming back off injury, the Sam Renzel. We've got a terrific defensive core. They're just a tad young. So, I don't know what the word is you call it. We're not rebuilding, but we're retooling with young guys who are coming on the fly. If we could just stay healthy, I've never been through anything like this. What we're battling right now with injuries, and we had everybody back for 1 week, and that short-lived. But we're going to get through it. I mean, we're going to battle through it. Our guys, 1 week, one night a week, and we've been outstanding. And it's getting that maturity in our game, having guys gain more confidence in the bigger minutes that they're playing. We're going to take traction. We're going to get traction at some point. But right now, steady the ship. We're doing more than fine. Another big challenge. Michigan's an awful talented team, but we're going to get through this injury thing. We're going to come out of it. We got great players and great leadership, so we're in a good spot.
Well, you mentioned the kid's name, the freshman defenseman. Now, when I was watching highlights to get ready for this, Big Ten play-by-play guy said Renzel. Is it Sam Renzel or Renzel?
Well, it's all over, but we go Renzel.
Okay,
I'll have to find out if I'm right on it. But otherwise, Sam.
Yeah, all you got to say is Sam, get out there, and he's cool. But 6'4", formerly with Chaska High School, first-round pick by the Blackhawks. 6 assists in 8 games. Holy cow. I mean, you get to work and develop what seems to be a unique talent there, don't you, Bob?
Yes. And you're talking about one, and we got a pile of them back there. But Sam, not only 6'4", but he is an athlete and can skate. And he's just scratching the surface. just give this young guy some time as he matures, and hopefully we're going to keep him around for a few years like we did our other guys. He is going to be a fun one for all of us to one for us to have on the team and grow with, but for our fans to follow. And he's just bubbling right now. And, same thing with Chesley, and Thomas has just been a rock star for us. His name doesn't get called a lot, but he's been outstanding. Like we said, Kester's just coming back. Middlestad's been great. This decor is going to mirror a lot like the decor we just had. They're teenagers right now. They're not. I used to use the word infancy sometimes. No, they're teenagers. They're going to grow up in front of us, and it's going to be a great group.
Well, I mean, the Faber, you mentioned Ryan Johnson, Lacombe. I mean, they're all playing NHL games right now. So the scenario seems to be both challenging and rewarding because you're breaking in these players you talked about with expanded roles, but rewarding coaching them up and watching them grow, right?
Yeah, like there's you do hate, like we were so fortunate that Faber stayed through his junior year, Ryan Johnson, Lacombe stayed through their senior year. That's not always going to happen. But you know what? For our fans and for us to coach these players and they're just great young men. And as long as we have them, let's enjoy them. And we're going to lose them. We're going to have to surround them with the guys that stay around longer. That's the mix and the blend that all of us are trying to figure out, But I'd sure rather have these guys on our team for as long as than not have them on our team. And we'll grow with them. And these are the type of players that our fans are used to seeing and want to see too.
My man, last one, because I know you got a plane to catch. I see the PK is 86%, which is terrific, but the power play is like 14%. And from St. Cloud through here at Minnesota, I just know that you always have had a quality power play, which I'm sure it'll come around. But what's happening very early in the equation?
Well, there's a related thing happening with our team to let everybody under the hood. One, we've been uncharacteristic of our team. We've been taking far too many penalties. And so we're frustrating in a couple of our losses where we've shot ourselves for a loss in our tie last week. And our offensive zone play has not been where we need it to be, and that's what's got to grow. That all translates to special teams and like your power play. We've got returning players on the penalty kill that know what we're doing. That's been strong for us. Our power play, however it looks today, I have a strong feeling it's going to be completely different a month from now. But we're living a little bit right now with some young guys that we need our game to mature quicker. And I wish I had the magic pill or the button to mature quicker and get there faster. But it's going to come. That's the best way I can answer it. And 14% doesn't cut it. But we're not going to stay there. I know that we got the horses in the stable to make that better. We're just living through a tough schedule right now. Some banged up, injuries like I haven't been through, but we're going to get through it. And our power play will get back going again. I thought we had a real good week this week to move forward on it. And early in the season, every week, you've got to put out a fire or work on something, and that's what we continue to do.
My man, safe travels, and great catching up with you over the weekend and chatting, and let's do it again next week if you have time, all right?
You got it, PA. Thanks, pal.
Yep, see you, Coach. Bob Motzko, coach of the Golden Gophers hockey team. A couple of games on AM 1130 KTLK tomorrow from Ann Arbor. Final hour of 9 to noon is around the corner. You're listening